Assalamualaikum dan selamat malam semua and Happy New Year. Okay. It's a new year, so we should celebrate, isn't it?
Yes. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay. Tapi malam ni kita berada di sini. Tak apa. Ingat ya, terkadang-kadang tu kita perlu berkorban sedikit untuk mendapat sesuatu yang lebih baik pada esok hari. Okay? So kita berkorban sedikit masa untuk persediaan terakhir demi 4 flat PSPN. Setuju tak dengan saya? Yes. Okay. Alright. So malam ini kita bersama dengan pensyarat cemerlang Kolej Matrikulasi Johor, Miss Eng Geok atau lebih mesra dengan panggilan Miss J. Saya rasa semua orang kenal Miss J kan? Okey, beliau sangat berpengalaman dalam mengajar matematik selama 13 tahun di KMJ. Okey, selain daripada pengalaman sebagai tutor how to teach mathematics di Open University Malaysia 2014-2015. Betul kan Miss J?
Ya, masa tu ada pengalaman sikit.
Okey, so kita membawakan pakar matematik untuk anda pada hari ini Alright, lebih menarik malam ini kita ditemani 3 pelajar daripada Kolej Matrikulasi Johor. Hai. Ada 3 pelajar iaitu Aidil Balkis, saya, Chong Zeki dan Zuliana. Betul? Okey, saya diberitahu mereka merupakan pelajar modul 2 daripada KMJ. Okey, so Madam nak ucapkan selamat datang ke Magic Revision kita dan Madam nak ucapkan jutaan terima kasih kerana sudi bersama-sama dengan kami pada malam ini untuk berkongsi maklumat sebagai persediaan untuk matematik di SPN 1. 6 hari bulan kan? 5 hari je lagi. Betul?
Hari.
Okay, so sebelum kita nak mulakan, alright, so adakah pelajar-pelajar dah bersedia? Semua? Setakat ni kita dah ada hampir 93 tengah menonton live kita. Okay? Kalau betul anda dah bersedia, sila klik like. Madam nak tengok berapa ramai yang tengah like kita punya live ni. Okay? Cepat-cepat klik like anda. Okay? Lagi banyak like, lagi cepat kita nak mulakan. Okay? Okay, alright. Kita dapat dah. Okay, so rasanya Madam tak nak buang masa sebab banyak perkongsian yang sangat berfaedah pada malam ini dengan 3 pelajar pula tu yang join sekali. Jadi tanpa membuang masa, saya akan serahkan sesi revision kita pada malam ini bersama Miss J, okay, untuk diteruskan bersama pelajar-pelajarnya. Boleh Miss J?
Okay, terima kasih Puan Nashima. Okay, thank you so much for coming to our revision section. Okay, so actually today our main topic is beauty of mathematics is learned from mistake. So we know that there is a lot of the muafakat question or maybe a revision set question you have done. Okay, so actually the most important thing is so many set question in preparing for the PSPN. One more thing is very important is we have to identify our common mistake. So today we will discuss about the common mistake for the 3 topics. Topic number 2 is inequalities. Okay, we will pick a few questions that always happens with the common mistake. And chapter 5, function and graph, and also the chapter differentiation. So first section, let us together with Aidil Balkis, my student from MD10. Hi Balkis.
Hi guys.
How's your feeling right now?
A little bit nervous.
Okay, it's okay. So no matter how actually the nervous, once you start the first step, actually you found that it will become very smooth. Okay, just like this, if you identify the mistake, you will find that the question is not difficult anymore. When you feel that it's difficult but never try to figure out which part or where is wrong, then you will always feel like susahnya mathematics, right? So are you ready, Balkis? Shall we proceed to the 2 questions that you would like to share with our friends?
Sure.
Yes, Okay, so I think that most of you already have the handout in the Telegram. So if for those who haven't entered the Telegram, you can try to enter the group and get the information. And what we discussed today, all the solution will be posted in the channel, and then you can get from it for the revision part. Okay, so we start from it. So the first question. Okay, so Balkis, I pass it to you.
Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum, and good evening to all my fellow friends and my lovely lecturer. Okay, so tonight I would like to sharing the question that I did before. Okay, and a lot of common mistake I did. Okay, so firstly I would like to introduce myself. My name is Algebraic binti Amran. I'm from College Mashpasi Johor. So we just proceed for question 1. Okay. The question sounds like find the solution set for the inequality. Okay, 1 over 5 minus 3x less than 1 over x plus 2. Okay, I just take method 1 and method 2. Okay, for method 1 is correct method and method 2 is the wrong method. Okay, for method 1, I solve this question by bring up 1 over x plus 2 to the left, and I just equalize the denominator. Okay, and I got 4x minus 3x over in bracket 5 minus 3x in bracket x plus 2 less than 0. So I got the 0 of factor is negative 2, 3 over 4 and 5 over 3. Okay, I solve this question by draw the table. And first, I just substitute the value, okay, and I locate a factor for different interval. And then I put the empty circle corresponding to the linear factor. Why empty circle? Because the symbol less than 0. Okay, and then I circle up the negative. Okay, and why I circle up the negative? Because negative, positive, positive is negative, right? And then for information, for x plus 3 and x plus 2, the gradient is positive. After the empty circle is positive, right? Except the 5 minus 3x, okay, after the empty circle is negative because the gradient is negative. Okay, so I just write the conclusion in a solution set. Okay, for method 2, why these are wrong? Okay, because we look at for common mistake I state there that we go through. Okay, for number 1, students are always doing cross multiply. Okay, that's the wrong initial step. Okay, for the number 2 is multiplication of sign negative and positive. Okay, for more explanation, okay, negative in bracket 5 minus 3x. Okay, when we multiply in, don't forget to multiply also the sign. So the answer will be negative 5 plus 3x, not 5 minus 3x. Okay, and the number 3, okay, solve by using number line sign without positive or negative. Okay, and the last one is solution set and interval form. Okay, for method 2, okay, the final answer they give in interval form. Okay, for method 1, the final answer is solution set. Why? Because the why this is wrong? Because the question state and ask us to give a solution set. Okay.
Okay, so from here, the common mistake, Bakis, this is the common mistake you make when you are solving this question. So that's
Yes.
why you are share with your friends, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we can take a look again. So we need to prevent the method too. Okay, so it's very good. Just now Balkis is mentioned about one thing. Initial state cannot be wrong. If you initially you already do the cross multiplication, it means the whole question involved the inequality. It will become wrong, and for sure we cannot score well for this part. Okay, very good. And also you did mention about the plus minus when you're doing equalize the denominator. Very good. Okay, because this is a very small mistake, but many people or many students, they will tend to make this kind of mistake without alert. Okay, so every time when you do the cross multiplication, maybe you should use the method one, Balkis mentioned here, you put the bracket. Okay, you're using the bracket and then slowly only expand it and make it become -5 plus 3x. Okay, very good. Okay, this one, okay, Balkis, this one. What does mean by this number line? Solve by using number line without plus and minus. So actually, this one is referred to the method. So you are prefer using table of sign or you are prefer using the number line?
I think table of sign.
Table of sign is much more easier. If you're using
Yeah.
the number line, we didn't say that this is wrong. If you're using the number line, we should put the positive and negative because the question is telling you that finding less than 0. So when you don't have any plus and minus here, we don't know which interval you are consider as your final solution. So if you want to using a number line, make sure there is a plus and minus. So for my habit, okay, and also my student, I'm sharing the table of sign with them. And this question is very good because they give you the two different situations where the linear factor with the positive gradient, so there's a going up and the negative gradient which is going down. So did you notice that the plus minus sign for these two factor is totally opposite because of the gradient of radian? Because passes through the zero of factor, it will be the opposite sign. Okay, that's why you don't memorize right side must be positive, left side must be negative. It depends on the gradient of the linear factors. Okay, so lastly, you choose the negative. Very good. So this question seems like simple, but once you make the mistake, that everything will gone. Okay, very good, Balkis. Okay, this is the first question that you share with your friends. Okay, so do you believe that if the PSPN come out this question, you will score well, Balkis?
Inshallah means.
Okay, very good. So because starting when you discuss with me, there is a lot of mistake, right? But now you already correct the mistake, and then good luck for you. Okay, so now let us look at the second question that you would like to share with us. Okay.
Okay. Without any delay, we proceed to the question 1B. So, solve the inequality 6 minus e modulus 4 minus x over x plus 3 more than or equal to 4. So, give your answer in set notation. So, this question, in specifically, they ask us to give the answer in set notation. Okay, at first, I just solve this question like usual. I bring up 6 to the right side. Okay, it become -2. Okay, just only left negative in front of the modulus, and I bring up to right. Okay, so that macam mencantikkan lagi lah macam tu. Okay, so when I found that there's absolute, okay, I just break into two. Okay, pecahkan kepada dua. Okay, the left, okay, is 4 minus x over x plus 3. Okay, less than or equal to 2. Okay, and the right side is 4 minus x over x plus 3 more than or equal to -2. Okay, sorry. And we just need looking for the latest symbol. Okay, that's less than or equal to. So the relation is n. Okay, don't forget about the relation. I always forget to write. Okay, so I just simply this question. Okay, and I just equalize the denominator. Okay, and I solve as usual, and I got the zero of factor is for the left one is -3 and negative 2/3. Okay. Miss, I tak nampak sebab komen.
Okay. So what is a mistake? Actually, what is a mistake that you think? This one is a correct one. So what mistake that you have made? Or we need to be careful with it. We have to be caution.
About the concept, then the apa tu susun mengikut ascending order. Dia punya Zoff
Okay.
dia lah.
Oh, so it means that you are based on the zero factor. Okay, so how about from the beginning? From the beginning, what mistake that we have made?
Okay, from the beginning, my mistake, I already looked at the symbol original one. Okay, so I definitely wrong when I state the relation. So I
Okay.
use okay, for hexagon concept is more important.
Okay, very good. What does it mean by the hexagon concept?
So hexagon concept bagi saya dia satu konsep untuk menyelesaikan soalan tu. Okay, dia ada 3 fasa. The first one is open the absolute. Second one is solve the inequalities. The third one
Solve
is
the inequality.
yeah.
Okay. And
Okay,
the last one?
The last one is the solution using combine, less is n and more is all.
Okay, so
Okay,
this is what you
that's
mentioned, that hexagon.
Yes.
Okay. Any other else other than the hexagon concept? This one we can apply to any kind of inequality, or it just only specific for absolute inequality?
For absolute
Okay.
inequality.
Okay, very good. So it means that you have to remember the hexagon situation only for the absolute inequality. The question 1a just now, we no need to use it. That's why there is no number line needed in solving the inequality. Okay, and then the last one, the common mistake, what is it? Maybe some of students not understand. What's the meaning of rearrange the zero of factor in ascending order?
Okay, for rearrange zero factor in ascending order. Okay, for the left one, okay, I write -2/3 first, then -3. So tu salah sebab saya tak susun mengikut ascending order. Okay, saya agak careless lah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then after you rearrange the zero of factor and then applying to the table
To
of
the
sign.
table.
Okay, so it means this is the second phase, isn't it?
Yes.
Just now you open, so this is a second phase, solve inequality.
Inequalities.
Okay, very good. Okay, and then after that?
And then the solution using the relation.
Okay, the
Whether it's
relation
n
is
or e or
n.
yeah, n.
Okay, and then lastly, why you need to shade the region?
Because the relation is n.
Okay, the relation is n. Okay, so any other else we need to take note when we solve or when we write the final answer in set notation?
I think
This
the
is
bracket.
interval notation.
I think the bracket one. Close and
Okay.
open.
Okay, so this is
Okay.
then circle, therefore?
Okay, then
Close
circle
bracket.
for close bracket and empty circle for open bracket.
Okay, so it means then circle, we're using close bracket, empty circle, we're using open bracket. Okay. Okay, so thank you so
Alright.
much for this. So for the question 1a and 1b, which one you think you still need exercise to prevent the mistake happens again? If compare the 1a and 1b.
I think, sorry miss, again?
Compare with the 1a and 1b, which question you need more exercise?
I think 1B.
Okay, so you still have time. You still have 5 days. You can proceed to it. Okay, so come to the last question for the inequality. Maybe we can go through the common mistake and also the solution.
Okay, for this question, okay, we need to show, and then we need to find the answer. Okay, uh, interval that for x that satisfied the inequality. Okay, the specific one. Okay, and then I just solve this question. Okay, until I shown the two power of 2x. Okay, and then I just let you because lebih dari dua unknown. So let you equal to 2x, 2 power of x. And then I solve it like usual. And I got the zero of factor 4 and 8. Okay, the common mistakes I always do. Okay, I wrong concept when solving the index. Okay,
Okay. What concept that is you're doing wrong? Which one?
2 minus I that's for method 2 that's improper solution now. Okay,
So it means
for
that
method 1,
division, then you go and do minus.
yeah, I straight away
Okay.
do the
Okay, so this
minus.
is your mistake.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so solving the indices, be careful with it. Okay, so how about this? After you do the substitution, why come up with the table of sign again?
Okay, because I need to find the for x interval satisfied for x, right? So I just draw up the table, and we just lakukan macam biasa, macam kita buat macam question 1 A and B.
Okay.
Okay, and 2 power of x equal to x, and I got x equal to 3, and the right side is x equal to 2. And the relation is or, because the symbol is more than or equal to.
And the circle up region are not continuous. Right, you
Continuous.
circle up positive. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
continuous. Okay, so it means that what kind of mistake? Can you please explain to us what mistake you make for this?
Okay, for the method 2, uh, that's definitely wrong because I just used the wrong method, okay, while solving the inequality.
Okay, so it means starting you confuse that the inequality is supposed to be solved by the table of sign, or maybe it's a graphical method, right? So you go
Yeah.
and use the number line. So this is the wrong method.
Wrong method.
Okay, so maybe this is not your personal wrong method. Maybe some of students, they also confused with it. So it's mean overall for the chapter 2, we have to be careful with it when to using table of sign, or when to using combined solution number line, or when we have to open the door when it's involved the absolute inequality and also the hexagon concept. Okay,
Yeah.
so this question chapter 2, okay, question chapter 2 that chosen by Balkis. This 3 question is chosen by Balkis because she found that she's having some mistake when solving these 3 type of question. Okay, so thank you so much for your sharing. Thank you.
Okay, Miss.
Okay, so after we finish the chapter 2, I believe that you still have some question. So never mind, later you can type your questions over there, or maybe you can ask inside the Telegram group. So let us proceed to the next chapter. Okay, welcome Cheng Yi.
Evening, Miss. Hi.
Yes.
Good morning,
Okay.
good evening, everyone.
Yes. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Today is very handsome. Today you're very
Thank you, Miss.
handsome. Okay, so we proceed to the function and graph. So my dear, most of the students, actually today our focus is just only pick out a few questions that always make mistake. So we are not discuss in detail what is the method. Okay, so we proceed to the question chapter 5, and this chapter 5, the question also prepared by Cheng Yi. Okay, so you may start your explanation and also your sharing section with your friends.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Today I would like to share about Maths chapter 5, which is function. And I have few questions that I would like to share with you guys, which I found out is rather interesting. So without further delay, let's start the questions. So for question 1, the question is, determine whether the inverse function fx modulus x plus 2 plus 3 exists. So I have two methods to share about how to find the answer. So the first method is by using graphical approach. So in this method, we will sketch the graph of fx and then we'll state some lines. By using horizontal line test, line y equals to k cuts function fx at 2 points. This is not a one-to-one function, thus f inverse does not exist. So we use this explanation to state that it's not a one-to-one and the f inverse does not exist. This is one of the methods to solve the question. So there's another method that is we use algebraic approach to find the answer. So in algebraic approach, we'll start by using algebraic expression left-hand side equals to right-hand side. So we copy the both fx to left-hand side and right-hand side. So after that, we can see that there's a constant value of plus 3 at the both sides, so we can cancel out and we can get modulus x plus 2 equals to modulus x plus 2. So at here, we can apply the property of modulus, which is modulus is also equals to square root of x squared. So at here, we can get the terms below. So after getting the terms, we notice that we can squaring both sides in order to cancel out the square root. So what we can get is x plus 2 squared. So at here, we need to expand the whole term so that we can get the terms of quadratic. After getting the terms of quadratic, we can cut off the constant value of plus 4 at both sides so that we can get x squared plus 4x equals to x squared plus 4x. So at here, we can rearrange the terms. We arrange the terms by putting the square terms to the left-hand side while the constant 4x to the right-hand side. We can find out that there's a constant of 4 that can be factorizing out. Thus, we can express it in the terms below. So we can also expand it in the form of left-hand side, a squared minus b squared is equals to a plus b, a minus b. After that, we can find out that there's a same terms left-hand side and right-hand side, which is x1 minus x2 that can be cancelled off. So the final answer will be x1 plus x2 equals to negative 4. x1 equals to negative x2 minus 4. So the conclusion is x1 is not equals to x2. fx is not a one-to-one function, thus f inverse does not exist. So at this both method, we have several mistakes that we as students will make. So the first mistake is in the graphical approach, we often sketch the wrong coordinate for vertex in the graph. So in order to sketch the graph, we must determine the vertex so that we can sketch it properly. For method 2, for the algebraic approach, when we are doing the algebraic expression, we cannot cancel out square at the both sides, it is in bracket. So it's actually a very common mistake among students, and also actually I also make that mistake too.
Yeah. Before that, you're doing this, right? It's mean like, oh, cancel, compare. And then very simple. Cannot be,
Yeah. So also for both method, we need to mention a conclusion which is f inverse does not exist, because this both method can only prove that the function is not one-to-one. So we need to relate that as it's not one-to-one, f inverse does not exist, because actually the question is asking for determine inverse exists or not.
Okay. So very good. So you are very clear. So it means that you have to remind your friends or remind all the students that graphical approach and the algebraic approach is only used to determine one-to-one function. But when the question asking about the inverse exists, we must draw conclusion based on the result. So this is the first common mistake that is found out by Cheng Yi. Okay. So continue. This question impossible, there is only one. Normally it will become, okay, one of the question A part A is this. And then after this, if for sure it will be continuous with the other kind of question. So Cheng Yi would like to continue it for the second part.
Okay, so the second part of the question is, if not, state the restricted domain in order for the inverse, for the function to have an inverse. So in order to restrict the domain, we need to refer back to the graph in the part A. So from the graph, we can see that the vertex is at -2, 3. So we can determine that the restricted domain is from the left-hand side to -2 and from -2 to right-hand side. So we can get restricted domain is -∞ to -2 and -2 to infinity. Also, we can also determine the restricted domain by referring to the axis of symmetry of graph. So the axis of symmetry is basically a line that cuts the graph into two identical parts. So we can see here that the axis of symmetry of graph is x equals to -2. So we can determine the restricted domain is -∞ to -2 or -2 to infinity.
Okay, very good. Okay.
But in yes.
What kind of
Yasmin?
mistake? What kind of mistake?
The common mistake here is we as students often forget to include the -2 in the restricted domain. So actually, the -2 is also included in both domain respectively, and we need to represent it by using close bracket at the part of -2.
Okay, very good. Okay, so restricted domain is is it every function also using finding axis of symmetry to determine the restricted domain? Other than absolute function, any other function, we also can using this way to identify the restricted domain.
For quadratic, we also can use the axis of symmetry, which is the critical point.
Okay, so how about linear function? Do we need to restrict the domain?
I think no, because linear function is already a one-to-one function, so there's no limit to the domain.
Very good. So it means you are very
Thank you,
clear.
Miss.
Okay, restricted domain is only applicable to the function that naturally is not one-to-one function. That's why you restrict it. Okay, so very good. Then let us proceed to the final part of this kind of question. Okay, so Cheng Yi, you can continue with it.
Okay, so thus find the possible F inverse under restricted domain. So for this part of question, it asks for the F inverse under restricted domain. So first, we need to state the restricted domain. So from what we can see in the handout, so we restrict the domain when x is greater or equal to -2 and when x is greater and less than -2. After that, we state the fx and then we do some expression to get the fx in a single terms with constant and x. And then we find the inverse by using application f of f inverse equals to x.
Okay, so I think maybe some of them having some question. What does it mean by the positive x plus 2 and the negative in bracket x plus 2? Why you will replace it based on the interval greater or equal to -2? Can we switch the two function? Or I'm just suka hati? What kind of function I also can put?
No, because actually the positive and negative of the bracket is determined by the modulus. Because what we can know is modulus is always positive. So when x is greater than -2, -2 plus 2 is always 0 and greater than 0 because x is furthermore than -2, greater than -2. But for the second condition, when x is less than -2, -2 plus 2 and less than it, we can get a negative term. So we must times the negative so that it will become positive because the standard of modulus there.
Okay, so very good. So it means we have to be clear how to compute a new function fx based on the definition of absolute function. Okay, so after you find the f inverse successfully, so I think that this linear function is not that difficult in finding the inverse. Okay, so let us proceed to sketching the graph. How to sketching the graph?
So in order to sketch the graph, we must determine the domain and the range of graph. So here, actually, the nature of the graph is a linear function. Linear function should have no restriction towards the domain or range. But since we only restrict the domain, x is greater than 2, the range is also restricted. We can find the restricted range by using algebraic expression by doing x greater than 2 and plus doing expression until it becomes fx.
Okay, very good. So it means that this one fx greater or equal to 3 is represent the range of the function fx, isn't it?
Yes, miss.
Okay, very good. So it means identify the domain and range before sketching the graph. Okay, very good. And then what is the next part after you already know about the domain range?
We also need to find the domain and range for the inverse function. Also, the domain of the fx is also equals to the range of f inverse x. So we can easily determine the range and domain of the inverse function by inversing the range and domain of the graph. So after we get all this property, we can start sketching the graph. So we can plot a line of y equals to x and then sketch the both graph and both function in the same graph.
Okay, so do you have any tips in how to, since just now you say that linear supposed to be domain is real number, but now you already restrict it. So how are you going to sketch a linear function? Because you cannot simply draw a straight line anymore, right? You have to follow the domain and range. So do you have any tips how to sketch this linear function?
Yes, we can determine where the coordinate of the starting of the function by referring to the domain and range. So we can see that the domain and range it start from -2, 3 towards infinity. So that is actually going towards positive infinity from the point of -2, 3.
Okay, so it means that the function fx, you are looking at -2, 3, and because the domain is goes to infinity, so your graph will be going to right side, isn't it? So that's why your graph is a positive gradient going up with the dense circle here, -2, 3. Okay, so how about the inverse function?
For the inverse function, actually, we can sketch it by determining the coordinate, or actually inverse function will be reflected towards fx at y, the line y equals to x. So we can make a line of symmetrical to the fx, and actually is the f inverse function.
So it means the coordinate, if we don't want to, but if I reflect it, I don't know where to sketch. If I sketch longer, it will not matching the fx anymore, right? So it means we still have to finding the coordinate first, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so the coordinate here is a 3 and -2. So it's come from here, okay? Because domain is 3, range is a y, -2. Then after that, make sure the graph looks symmetrical with respect to y equals to x. Okay, so Cheng Yi, did you notice that from your graph, any mistake or any imperfect situation here?
Actually, I forget to plot the x and y axis.
Oh, okay, very
Label.
good. And so you
Yeah.
label the x and y axis, and also you have to make sure which function is fx, which function is inverse. Okay, very good. Then you only can score well, eh? Okay, so how about the other one?
Actually, for the other one, actually is identical to the first terms, but because the domain is actually from -infinity to -2, it's actually towards -infinity and approaching to the right. So it's actually a negative gradient. So it's like approaching to the right, to the left.
Okay, so it means you're using the similar technique, identify the domain and range, and sketch the graph based on the function. So now the function with the negative gradient. So it means basically you know that there is an empty, there is a dense circle here, and then the graph is going up because it's a negative gradient. Okay, and the other one, you get to know the F inverse. F inverse is -x plus 1 is also negative gradient. Right? So I think this is the idea, right? You can do it. Then make sure they are symmetrical. Okay, so I think this question is just very simple like kacang for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still okay lah.
Still okay.
Still okay. Okay, but I have a question for you. Is it every time you have to give the two possible inverse? Or you can just simply choose one of it?
I think it depends on the question, because sometimes the question asks about what is under restricted domain, or sometimes it's asked about the whole graph.
Okay. So it means like if the question just mentioned about possible, it means that these two situations we have to listing out.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so very good. So I think maybe the others, you're also having some problem in how to identify the inverse function based on the restricted domain. Even though we just given you the very simple example for linear, but it can be applicable to others as well, like the quadratic and so on. So maybe you can give it a try at home. Okay, but you can take this handout as a reference. After this, we will post it into the Telegram. Don't worry about it. Okay, very good. So come to the second question. I know that this question that you quite confusing from the beginning, right? Okay,
Yes, teacher.
faster share your confusing part and also after you correct the mistake and how you feel. Okay, so let us
Okay.
proceed.
So for question 2, it is given fx equals to 3 power of negative x minus 5, while gx equals to negative log base of 3 x plus 5. So it asks us to state the relationship between fx and gx. Actually, for this question, I'm quite confused because this is an exponential and logarithm function, and it's actually, for me, it's quite hard in this chapter.
Okay, it's a new function to you, right? If compared with SPM.
Yes.
Okay. So actually for exponential and logarithmic, we have to understand about their basic graph. Okay, so you have to refer back to the lecture now. What is the basic graph, parent graph of exponential? Then you are more clear about it. Okay, so how about the first question? And just now you say that state the relationship between f and g. What you can think of?
So basically, when I think about relationship, I will do composite function to find out the relationship. Because
Composite function.
yes,
Okay. And then from the composite function, what did you obtain?
we can find out that the both result in an x, and it's pretty similar to the properties of inverse function. So we can do conclusion that f of gx and g of fx equals to x. Therefore, fx and gx is inverse to each other.
Okay, they are inverse to each other. So how about if I get f of gx equal to g of fx equal to 2x? Can we draw this kind of conclusion?
I think no, because it need to refer back to the properties of inverse, which is f of gx must equals to x, single terms.
Okay, very good. So it means that not only these two composite function is equivalent, they must equivalent to x as well. Okay, so when finding the composite function, do you met any difficult part or situation that unable to helping you getting the x?
Yes, I found out that when I'm doing exponential power of log 3, I'm suddenly
Okay.
confused what shall I do to simplify it. So
Okay,
what
so
I know,
we slow down a little bit. Maybe some they are quite confused. You're saying that you are having problem to simplify this, isn't
yes,
it? Okay, so
yeah.
then lastly, how did you get it?
I refer to Miss Jade, and what Miss Jade told me is the property of E ln 3, I can get back 3. This is an example of the properties of indices.
Okay, because of the ln is the base E. So when they have the same base, you will get back the function under the ln, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why based on this, the index, the base is 3. The log, the base is also 3. Therefore, you can conclude that this one is equivalent to the function under the log, x plus 5. Okay. So this is something very, you have to be careful when you are solving this. So after that, you successfully to get the equals to x. And then lastly, you can state the relation. Okay, very good. Okay, so come to the second part.
So for the second part is sketch both function on the same axis with all the labels. So as usual, when we sketch the function, we need to determine the domain and range. So from here, we know that fx is an exponential function. The domain has no restriction towards it, while the range is from 0 to infinity, as referred to the nature of exponential graph. But since that it has a constant of negative 5 behind the function, you need to add up the negative 5 to the range of function. So it will become negative 5 to infinity.
Okay, so identify the domain and range is I think there's a basic everyone you have to know. Okay, and then after that, how did you draw conclusion based on this?
Because from part A, we already know that fx and gx is inverse to each other. So we can know that the domain of f is also equals to the range of g, while the range of g equals to the range of f is equal to the domain of g.
Okay, so it means that you're using the previous relation to figure out both function, domain, and range. Okay, okay, and then after that, why you need to find so many things here?
Because the question asks for all the labels, so I need to find all the composite of the functions.
Composite of the function?
Component of the
Component or
labels.
components of the function. Okay, so this component is included the intercept x and also the y-intercept and also the x-intercept. Okay, so after you know the function, domain, and range already, why are you confused? You say that you are confused with this part. What things that you confused actually?
Yes, actually, what I confused about this exponential and logarithm function is after I determine all the labels and component, I cannot know that whether the graph touches the line y equals to x or not. So actually here I have a question for me state is how we can determine either the graph touches the line y equals to x or not for the
Okay,
exponential and
so
log.
I think this is not only your question. So some of the students, they are also confusing. When you're sketching the two graphs separately, you have no problem with it. But when you combine the two graphs together, then because the inverse function, that is an axis of symmetry, which is a y equal to x, right? So here I'm giving you two examples. So you look at these two examples. Okay, the function is ex exponential with the constant -9. So automatically the graph will moving down 9 units. Okay, so for the ex plus 9, it will be moving up 9 units. So you will find that the graph below the function fx, it will be always above the y equals to x. Okay, but when it comes to the ex minus 9, when you're going down, there is a possible chance to touch the y equals to x. But can we draw conclusion? The constant minus must touching. Constant positive must be far away from the y equal to x. The answer is no, because this question is coincident. It's a particular example. Okay, it's a particular example. We have to depend on the function as well, involve the coefficient of the exponential. Okay, the power of x is a positive or negative. Therefore, if you want to make sure whether the function are touching at the y equal to x or not, you can doing like this. Okay, so for example, you can try to plot the graph. Maybe you can just using 2x value. Randomly, you choose 2x value. Okay, so y equal to x, we know that the value must be always equals to the x value that you substitute. So that's why it's still -5, 0, and 5. So this is our function fx 3 to the power of -x minus 5. So we can try to calculate, okay, using the calculator, Mr. 570. Okay, you calculate when the x equals to -5, you found that the value is 238. But y equal to x is -5. So it means that the y value is above the y equals to x. But when it comes to the 0, okay, when it comes to 0, when you calculate 0, you found that your function fx, the value is negative. So it means it's below the y equal to x. So from these two values, obviously, the values is changing from above and become below the y equal to x. Obviously, the two function will be cut at the y equals to x. Okay, you can using randomly two values, okay, but you don't take too near. Maybe it's a -5, 0. Okay, see whether there is a changes of position above or below the y equal to x or not. Okay, so Cheng Yi, maybe you can give it a try, but cannot simply draw conclusion that +9 must far away, -9 must touching. It's not necessary. Okay, it's not necessary. Yeah. Okay, so come back to the graph that you sketch. So lastly, based on this table, right, you plot the values. So you found that the two function must be cut at the y equal to x. That's why you sketch it. So maybe I can sketch again. There is some tips. Okay, since just now you say that the domain and range with the values -5, right? So the -5 with the open bracket. So it means that it will be like the asymptote. Okay, so you can sketch the graph. X equals to -5. and also y equals to -5. And do not forget about that is an axis of symmetry. It will passes through the intersection point origin and also the two dotted line. Okay, y equals to x. So you can take in the function 3 to the power of -x minus 5. So that is a negative exponent. So negative exponent means that the value is getting smaller and smaller and closer to the 5. So you can sketch it as the following. Okay, so you'll be using this. Okay, and you have to know the intercept. Just now, what is the intercept that you obtain? What is the intercept that you obtain?
X intercept or y intercept?
X
Which graph?
for the x-intercept. For the x-intercept, it means when x equal to 0, y-intercept, when x equals to 0, you found that it's a -4. 0, -4 is about here. Okay, so it means your graph, it will be, look like this. Okay. That's why just now you say that you're finding all the components because it can assist you to sketch a graph. Okay, then after that, actually, you don't need to think about the pattern of graph anymore because just now we already said that the inverse function, it must be symmetrical, right? They must be symmetrical. So your inverse is a log, right? Just now you get that the inverse is a log. Okay, your inverse is a negative log. So it means it will be going down. Okay, so or maybe you can just follow here. It will be going down, but it must be right-hand side of the x equals to -5. So you can make it as the following. And it must be passes through the y equals to, di sini saya kena betulkan Just now you already said that they will touch the y equals to x. So when you sketch a graph, so it must be touching the y equals to x as well. Okay, they must symmetrical passes through. And automatic, they will look symmetrical and do not forget to label it. Okay, and this one is the fx. Is it clear?
Yes, clear, madam.
Okay, you are more clear with it. So no need to sketch of exponential or the logarithmic. You just have to understand about the basic graph and the inverse function. You can do the reflection with respect to y equal to x, and using this method to identify whether the two functions were touching at y equals to x or not. Okay. So I hope that this one already assists you to settle the problem. You have not much problem with the exponential and log anymore. Okay. Okay, so if this one settled already, okay, so there is some tips to how to check the inverse function. So I need all the students, okay, that is watching here. Okay, you can try to, I will share one way to double check your inverse function, but you still have to using this. Okay, and then the other answer, I will review the answer inside the Telegram. Okay, for example, this one, fx equal to x minus 1 squared plus 2. Like this one also must have the restricted domain. Okay, restricted domain. So this one, the inverse function, it will be, okay, because it's greater or equals to 1. So, Chengi, greater or equals to 1 means that it will be positive side, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so if positive side, we know that quadratic, the inverse function is square root. So it must be positive square root. Okay, and after that, you look at it. There is a zero of factor, x minus 1. What is the zero of factor?
1.
1. Okay, so it means it must be plus 1 here. Okay, and then inside it will become x. So if the question, because inverse function, what? If this is a plus, so what is the reverse sign?
Minus.
So it will be x minus 2. So you can using this way to identify after you're applying this method, finding inverse, did you obtain this? Okay, so how about the second one? The restricted domain is less than or equals to 1. So what is the F inverse? Less than, so it approaches to negative side, isn't it? So it will be negative square root, right? So same thing. What is the zero of factor here? 1. So plus 1. So how about inside the square root function? It would be x
2 minus x
2.
minus 2.
Yes, very good. Okay, so the other, you can give it a try. Okay, there is some tips. So later I will share the solution in the Telegram so you can double check how to check whether the inverse function that you find is correct or not. Okay, so this is for today's the chapter 5, the common mistake, and also some tips how to make it more simple, especially the chapter 5 is in the part B. Okay. So Chengi, anything that you would like to say to your friends before we proceed to the next?
Good luck for PSBM.
Okay. So there is no problem with it. Okay, thank you so much for Chengi. Then now it's come to the last part. Okay, so even though a bit longer, but I hope that every student in front of the screen, okay, you can getting the handout in the group and then you jot down together with us, especially come to the last chapter that I would like to share with you, which is the chapter 9. So that's welcome Zuliana. Hi,
Hi
Zuliana,
everyone.
introduce yourself.
Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening everyone. So my name is Nur Zuliana and I am from College Matrikulasi Johor and I am one of Mistake students. Okay, so
Okay.
let's proceed with chapter 9, which is differentiation. Okay,
Okay, Zuliana, why you want to choose chapter 9, differentiation?
because I have a problem in this chapter. And I think if we understand this chapter, then it's become easier.
More confident.
Actually.
You're more
Yes.
confident.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start. There is only 2 questions that we would like to share with you all. Okay,
Yes.
let's proceed.
All right. So okay, let's go to the question 1, which is the curve of the equation through point 1 and -1. So determine value of constant k and find the value of dy dx. Alright, so I would like to remind you guys, okay, to highlight the main point of the question. Okay, so in this question, the main point is value of constant k and also find value of dy dx. Okay, value. Okay, we go to the method 1, okay, which is by using the given point, substitute the value. Okay, so the given equation, we can just substitute the value, which is x equal to 1 and y equal to -1. Okay, and we substitute in the equation given, then you got the answer is k equal to 2. Alright, as you can see for the common mistakes, okay, student, okay, not us, the other student, okay, they might switch the value between x and y, which is x equal to -1 and y equal to 1. Okay, as you can see, after we substitute the value, we get the value k is -2. Okay, it is same value of k, but once the procedure is wrong, then the whole answer will gone. Okay, so
So it means that we checking common mistake is not checking the answer is correct or not correct, but it's more to checking the procedure, isn't it?
yes. Okay, so
Okay.
if your procedure is wrong, when your procedure is wrong, then it's gone. Yes. Okay, so
Okay,
be
don't
careful.
don't be gone, don't gone. We want the marks. We want the marks.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So we proceed with the other, which is find value of dy dx. Okay, value. Alright, so we see the method 1, which is to find the value of dy dx, we must differentiate implicitly with respect to x. Okay, student might to misconception about the concept of implicit differentiation. Okay, so the concept is student tends to forget to write the dy dx. Okay, so as you can see in the first line, okay, in the method 1, 3x squared. Okay, so that's so when it goes to differentiate implicitly with respect to x, it's mean that at the y part, okay, we must add the dy dx. Okay, so as you can see in the method 2, why it is wrong, it is because there is no dy dx in the 2. Yes, over there. Okay, so it's do not confuse about it. Okay, so after that, we just rearrange and simplify the equation, and you got the dy dx, which is 2 minus 3x squared over 3y squared minus 2. Okay, so Okay, so we see at the common mistake. Okay, student might be stopped at dy dx, even though actually the question asks you to find value. Okay, value of dy dx. Okay, which is when it goes to value, then you have to find no, your answer must be a number. Okay, so as you can see, so value of dy dx, you just substitute the x and y value at the point given, and you got the answer. Value of dy dx is -1.
Okay, so Juliana is mentioned about we have to be careful with the instruction of the question. Actually, from here you are writing the second mistake, and maybe we should emphasize a little bit. What does it mean by misconception of the implicit differentiation? Okay, so just now the first one you say that forget to write the dy dx because you get used already. Differentiate 2x, you get 2. Differentiate 2y, you get 2 as well, or it should be 2 dy dx. Everything is depends on we are differentiate with respect to x. Okay, so bear in mind, so d dx, differentiate the x, so you get 1. Differentiate the 2x, that's why you get 2. Okay, but when you differentiate y, that is a dy dx. So when you differentiate 2y, do not forget it must be 2 dy dx. Okay, and one more thing is, because it's already mentions the implicit. So implicit it means that the dy dx will be hidden inside during the process you're finding differentiation. So you cannot write that, oh, okay, finding dy dx. So you write down first dy dx equals to, and then you're waiting for the solution. No, you cannot straight away write the dy dx here unless the function is expressed the y in terms of x clearly. Contohnya, for example, y equals to x squared plus 2x. This one, yeah, the left-hand side automatic must be dy dx because this is explicit function. So implicit function is mean you cannot write the dy ds as the left-hand side subject first. It will be wrong. Okay, so that's why I think this is what we call it the misconception about what is the implicit differentiation. Okay, so first example and second example, which mistake you make, Juliana?
I stop by dy dx. Only find the dy
You
dx.
stop by dy dx. Are you able to get the dy dx correctly when you first try?
Yes.
Yes, okay, very good.
Because
If you are able to get
no,
the dy dx, very good.
yes. Just
Okay.
no value.
No value. Okay, very good. So this is the common mistake there. Be careful with it. Okay, so the first part and second part set already. So we proceed to the second question. Okay, the
Alright,
last question that we share with you all.
yeah. Okay, guys. So for question 2, it is more complicated. Okay. Why? Because I asked my friends, the other friends, to help me with this question, but they also got blank. Like, what, like that. So okay. So the question is, given that y equal to x power of 2 ln x, find the dy dx in term of x and y. Then show that the equation is equal to 0 and deduce the value of a second derivative when x is equal to e. Okay,
Okay.
so let's go to the method. Okay, so as we can see that we should find dy dx. So taking both side ln to bring down the variable x. Okay, common mistake that student always do is they do not know how to start and just give up, just like oh, I don't know this question, so like just let it be. Okay, so please don't, because actually if you got blank, okay, so just taking both side ln, okay, because yeah, because for
That's a
me,
variable at the power, isn't it?
yes. So just taking both side ln. So why I choose this? You can also use log log
The other base?
the other base. The other
Okay.
base. So but I think the natural log is easier. So I choose that. I like it. Okay. So
Okay.
just taking both
Seldom
side lon.
people say they suka natural log Jarang
Ah,
ada orang suka. You like it, that's good.
yes, because it easier. Okay,
Okay.
so taking both side ln, so you get that ln y equal to ln x, power of 2 ln x. Okay, so just using the power rule of logarithm, and you get the answer. Okay, the ln y equal to 2 ln x and ln x. So simplify it, and you get the answer. Okay, not the answer. It's simplify.
Simplest form.
Simplest form. All right. So after that, as you can see over there, LHS and RHS, which is left hand side and right hand side. So for the left hand side, we must differentiate with respect to x, and right hand side just differentiate by layer, which is using chain rule. Okay, so um, just do at 1 over y divided dx. Okay, okay, so simply you using the method, then you get the answer. Okay, but please do not forget to differentiate ln x. Okay, the purple one. Okay, the purple one, do not forget to differentiate ln x. Okay, so after we differentiate the ln x, we get 1 over x. Okay, so just simplify it, and you get the answer of dy dx. Okay, so as you can see at the green one, which is student tends to cancel out the x. Okay, so we cannot just simplify, cancel out the x, because it is not same function.
Okay,
Okay,
very good.
yeah, so just let the question just like that. So the answer is for y ln x over x. That's all.
Okay, very good.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
okay, Miss. What I think just not me, but the others too. When we can or we need apply natural log, in maybe have other question that we can apply the natural log.
so you means that if the instruction of the question is didn't telling you that applying natural log, when you can applying the natural logarithmic function differentiation,
Yes.
isn't it? Okay, okay. So they give you some example. Okay, for example, we choose a very common question. Okay, let's say, okay, example. Let's say you are given y equals to, okay, maybe it's 1 minus 2x over x plus 1 square. Okay, so Juliana, normally what basic rule of differentiation that you will apply when solving and finding the first derivative of this?
For sure, question rule.
Quotient rule, right? So sometimes quotient rule is quite complicated, especially if you involve the higher power or complicated function, isn't it? So in this case, actually we can apply the taking both side ln. Okay, so when you're taking both side ln y, okay, maybe it's not clear. Okay, I'm use another color. Okay, this one. Okay, so you're taking both side ln y is equals to ln and overall 1 minus 2x over x plus 1 square. Okay, so the left hand side you cannot do anything, but the right hand side, this is the other rule or law of logarithm. So you can make it become ln 1 minus 2x minus ln x plus 1 square. And again, the square, it can be bring down as a coefficient. So lastly, you will find that you will separate the original function become 3 individual logarithmic function. Okay. So once you're getting these 3 individual logarithmic function, then you just differentiate it as usual. So, but the condition is you must understand how to differentiate logarithmic function. So ln y, so you know that the basic is a 1 over y dy dx. Okay, and differentiate the ln y 1 minus 2x is 1 over 1 minus 2x. So do not forget, you must differentiate the function under the ln, so which is you obtain a negative 2. Okay, and then after that, continue with the last term. it will be 1 over x plus 1, and I will write it as a 1 as well because you are differentiate the x plus 1. So after that, you just simplify it. Then you also will obtain it. Okay. So this one also can. So maybe you can give it a try. So other than the quotient rule, let's say if the question is a product rule, you also can applying the taking both side law. No problems.
Alright,
Okay.
Miss.
Okay, so no need to feel like too many method, but this method can assist you to make the function is more easier for you to simplify and differentiate. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it means that you are finding dy dx using the natural law, So, okay, so it means the first part settled already?
Yes, settle.
Okay, so let us proceed to the second part.
Okay, so for the second one is show that the equation is equal to 0. So as you can see in the equation, there is second derivative. Okay, so my mistake is I just buat merepek. Okay, so
It means
first
nampak complicated and then then just substitute this and substitute that.
yes. So please do not forget to find the second derivative. So from the previous part, okay, using the dy dx, we got at the previous part. Okay, so just
Jangan
find the
nervous, don't worry.
find the second derivative. Okay, so find the second derivative. I use the product rule for both side. Okay, because both side product rule u v prime plus v u prime. Okay, so using that, it is more easier to simplify. Okay, then after you get use the product rule, simplify the equation, and you get what in the second line.
Okay, so here is simplify. What does it mean by simplify, Juliana?
Simplify. Simplify. For me. Oh yes. Wait. Group the like term. Yes. I group the like term, which is dy dx same at the left hand side. Put it at the left hand side. Yes. Group the like term. Okay.
Okay.
So then okay, so Miss, I stopped by just by that, and
You
I
confused.
got confused. Yes.
You got confused.
Yes.
What did you confuse? You write down very good. What? Okay, left side, right side is a product rule, and then you say they group the like terms. Then you just need to show. So it means when you feel confused, okay, actually I give you a tips. Look back again the question. Okay, you look back again the question. The question actually is telling you or given you that the coefficient of the second derivative is a x squared. So you double check yours. Okay, after you simplify, you already get that the coefficient is x. So it's just need to do one more step, you can get the first term correctly. Okay, so it means that when you blur or you don't give up first, look back again the question because the answer is there. Show that. So it means that from here you found that the differences between the coefficient is just x and x squared. So the next step you just straight away multiply x to both sides and then you only see what you can do. So when multiply x to both sides, coefficient of the second derivative will become x squared, and automatic the second term dy dx become x dy dx, and the third terms 4 ln x will become 4x ln x. And at the same time, the right hand side, the 1 over x after you multiply the x is gone, right? So at last you get a 4y. So you double check again the question. The question also with 4y, but it's a negative 4y. So if you shift the 4y to left side, you already get that the first one and the last term is exactly the same like what you need to prove. So what you should do is just the middle one. You cannot simply, I copy down the answer because the question show that you have to show the working step clearly. So what is the next that you have to do is, there is some tips. So Juliana, you don't need to worry about it. So you just copy back the question. Okay, this first one, x squared, d squared y, dx squared. And also this one, minus 4y equals to 0. Okay, because these two terms already settled. The remaining terms, you have to take a look this one. Okay, you come back to the question. You found that the common factor is the variable x. Did you notice? And also the dy dx. Right? Okay, but they are not together. One is in front, one is at the back. So you can just factorize out. But when you're doing factorization, normally we were taking positive x out, isn't it? Because here you also with positive x. But the question with the negative. So you just put the negative x. So you put another bracket again. And the dy dx is at the back. Okay? And then after that, from here, if you factorize out negative x, what happened to this? Right, Juliana, if you take out negative x, what happened to this? You only left the positive. Okay, 4 ln x. So automatic, the positive 1x will become negative 1. Then you already get it easily.
All right.
Okay,
So
you
we
must have the procedure how to simplify. How to prove. You cannot straight away or through jawapan.
all right.
Okay.
So we just must be careful with the positive and negative sign.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So sabar. Seems like very complicated, but you look at it, how many steps only you solve? 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, 4 line you already settled this. Right? It's not that difficult. Okay. Okay. So next time when you met this kind of question, give it a try. Mesti cuba. Jangan biar dia kosong.
Okay, Miss. Sure.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So we go to the last question. Okay, which is deduce the value of second derivative when x equal to e. Okay, so hopefully guys buka hati, okay, buka minda, okay. So remember that when it goes to deduce, verify or hence, okay, it actually the question is related to the previous question, okay, which is we must find value from the previous part. Okay, so just use the equation that we must shown before, okay, and substitute the value of x with e. Okay, that's it. Just like the first line. Okay, just substitute the value of x to the e. Okay, and remember that ln e is equal to 1. Okay, so make sure lah that the ln e is equal to 1. Okay, then you substitute and simplify the equation, and then you get the second derivative is 16 e squared over e squared. Then the answer is 16. Okay, so remember that it has value. Okay, value of second derivative, so the value must be a number. Okay, that's all.
Okay. That's all. But I have a question for you, Zuliana. Okay. So just now you say that substitute x equals to e into the previous equation that you prove, isn't it? The expression. Okay, so you are substitute the x as a e squared. So how about the dy dx and also the 4y? How did you know that the value is a 4e and also is a negative 4e squared? How did you know it?
From wait oh, from the previous question.
From here.
Yes.
Okay, from
Wait.
here. So dy dx equals to?
4y ln e.
But you have no y values. How to get the y value first?
Oh, the y value. Yes. Given that y equal to, yes. Substitute the.
Okay, so it
substitute
means
the e.
y equals to x2 ln x. So y equals to?
So e2 ln e.
Okay.
So
Then,
ln e equal to 1, then e2, yes. Square.
okay. And then lastly, only substitute what is the dy dx from the part A, eh? From part A, isn't it? Okay.
like Miss Tit said that we have to intai soalan.
Intai balik Look back again the question. Actually, all the information is given. That's why deduce. Okay. So how was it? The two questions that you share. Simple or difficult?
It is difficult at first, but if we tenang and yes, we can do it actually. Yes, everyone can do it.
Okay, very good. Okay, so thank you so much for so many questions that is sharing by three students. So actually, we already done the discussion about these three topics. So let us welcome back our moderator and also the other two friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so still feel nervous?
No.
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay, so thank you so much for this. And then I pass back to Madam Nashima.
Okey, terima kasih atas perkongsian. Okey, kita teruskan dengan Q&A session. So kita ada beberapa soalan. Okey, so mungkin pelajar-pelajar boleh tolong Madam Miss Jade untuk jawab soalan. Okey, so kita buka peluang.
Okay, the first question from I9, saya cuma tahu guna sign table. Sign S-I-G-N, sign, tanda. Boleh tak bagi tips nak guna interval form sebab saya bergantung kepada jawapan selama ini. Bergantung kepada, so it means that you always look at the answer and if the suggested answer is correct, then you think your method is correct. Okay, actually table of sign is quite simple. Number line, if you want to use it, because now it's already almost near to the exam, I'm not encourage you using a new approach. If not, you will get confused. The sign table is good enough in helping you and assist you to solving the inequality, especially table of sign, it can solve for both quadratic and also rational inequality. So how about Chengi, you prefer table of sign or using the interval form? What does it mean by the interval form?
Actually, I think table of sign is good enough. Or actually, sometimes if it's quadratic, I use the graphical method. But I think table of sign is can be applied to any question, so I think it's good enough.
Okay. Okay, so Aina, you give it a try. So because nak dekat exam, so jangan nak ubah bagi sesuatu yang baru. Later you are not consistent and not confident, akan lagi tak boleh menjawab soalan. Okay?
Alright. Kita tengok soalan seterusnya.
Oh, how to know whether it's a or and? Is there any tips to notice the difference? Okay, my students should know that. I'm using the outing malam dengan outing biasa. Still remember that? Still remember that or not?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, okay. Sorry, I need help from Madam Nashima. I would like to share my screen for a while.
Okay.
Okay, wait I would like to share. Okay, so are you able to look at the screen here? Okay, so how to know that it's N and O? So now normally I teach them is about, let's say, here is KMJ. And this is the distance that you can go, 5 and -5. Okay, so if I given you that modular x, if the x is defined, distance from KMJ. So if I say that less than 5, okay, less than 5 is means that it will be, I can up to 5 unit to left, 5 unit to right. So it means that the place that you can go is only here. So there is only one region. It's in between the -5 and 5. Did you notice that? You only can up to -5 and 5, and it must be in between. So that's why less is N. Okay, so when the same situation is greater than 5, so it means that if this is a KMS, okay, and this is a 5 unit, and this is a -5 unit, so you can travel more than 5 units from KMS. So it means that this one suka lah. Saya nak balik rumah kan. Outing bermalam. Yang ini outing biasa. Area tangkap saja. Kalau KMS area banting sahaja. So in this case it means that the function it will be you can go to right side of 5 unit and you can go to left side of the -5, but they are not connect to each other. That's why their relation will be or. That's why more is or. Okay, so less is n, more is or from the absolute inequality. Okay. Okay, I think that's it.
Dengan soalan seterusnya.
How to know that x is -2 from the modular is not quadratic? How to know that the x is -2 from the modular is not quadratic? The question is quite not clear. What does it mean by quadratic? Is it the original function, absolute function is a quadratic function? Everything is depends on after you open the door, less is n, more is or, then maybe you will obtain linear, quadratic, or rational function. It depends on the question. Okay, it depends on the question. Okay, any others?
Okay, so kita
Okay,
tengok
next.
soalan terakhir untuk hari ni
Okay, a question is given that limit x approaches to 0 and we need to evaluate. Okay, this one is, okay, e power x minus 1 over x. Okay, belum baca habis. Okay, I just would like to know it's related to our syllabus. Okay, if you do direct substitution, it's a 0 over 0. Okay, how are we going to do the factorization? Okay, this one you can use the hospital rules. Okay, so anything that you direct substitution, if you get that it's an indeterminate form, if in our syllabus that we can doing the factorization for polynomial. Okay, at this moment it's a factorization of polynomial or multiply conjugate when it's involved the third function. Okay. Okay, next.
Okay, so mungkin Madam boleh jawab satu lagi soalan.
Okay, Miss, is it necessary to show the direction or arrowhead of the function? Okay, Cheng Yi, you want to answer or not? I think this is related to sketching the graph.
I think the arrowhead is quite important because it shows that towards infinity, if the domain and range is pointing towards infinity, we need to show an arrowhead that is because it's further towards infinity. Something.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Okay, so okay, ada lagi masuk soalan. Kita tengok satu lagi kesian.
Okay. How to find domain? Is it vary for every equation? For sure it will be, okay, there is a 5 function in the matriculation syllabus. There is 5 function that's naturally the domain is always real number, which is linear, quadratic, cubic, exponential, and logarithmic. So for the others, actually, I hope that you understand about the parent graph. Okay, the parent graph. If the function is a square root function, what is the condition? Because you have to understand first what is the meaning of domain. It means the x value will make the function define. So if the x value you substitute into a calculator, then come up with a math error, then it means undefined. So for square root function, you know that the function under the square root must be always positive. So if a rational function, logic thinking, denominator cannot be 0. Log, you cannot log 0, you cannot log negative. You should understand the 3 different functions, how to determine their domain. Okay?
Okay, alright. So nampaknya itu sahaja soalan yang kita ada untuk hari ini. Okay, so terima kasih banyak atas perkongsian dan jawab soalan-soalan. Okay, semoga perkongsian pada malam ini sangat membantu pelajar kita untuk bersedia menghadapi paper pertama untuk PSPM Mathematic. Betul? 6 hari bulan
Ya, 6 hari bulan.
Okay, sebelum kita tamatkan session revision untuk malam ni, Okay, so kita dah ada 3 pelajar bersama kita. Jadi apa kata kita minta pelajar bagi ucapan dari hati ke hati pelajar. Okay, so siapa nak mula dulu? Silakan. Nak baca skor juga. Okay, Balkis, mungkin boleh Balkis mulakan dulu.
Okay, baiklah. Kata-kata semangat pada malam ini. Kejayaan pada masa hadapan anda tercipta dengan apa yang anda lakukan sekarang ini. Okey, bukannya esok hari. Kalau anda merasakan hari ini anda telah lambat untuk mengulang kaji pelajaran, jangan risau. Masih ada masa lagi, gunakan waktu yang ada, okey, dan jangan sesekali give up. Okay, stay strong, kuatkan mentality. InsyaAllah you will do the best for PSPM. Okay, and lastly, good luck. Good luck for PSPM.
Okay, thank you Balkis. So Zengli, bagi ucapan apa?
I think the same thing, because like good luck for SPSPN and good luck for the studies, and hope the future endeavor. Also, study for life is very important, something like that. So yeah, okay, that's all for me.
Okay, Zuliana.
Okay, so saya I wish very good luck untuk semua, and macam Balkis cakap tadi, do not give up, because even though maybe memang kita susah nak dapat apa yang kita study, but just do your best, because saya pun seorang yang slow learner, but we must try, and yes, insyaAllah kita boleh buat yang terbaik, and good luck for SPM.
Okay, insyaAllah. Alright. Okay, so akhir sekali Miss Jake.
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, today's session is a first try because we never invite a student together with us. Actually, the main purpose why I invite them together with, just like Juliana mentioned about, I'm not saying that what we're presenting now, we are very good, but actually we are learning while we are teaching. Okay, so when you feel like you're very weak in one topic, the more exercise and the more question you need to try and go and teach people. For sure, then you will get back the rewards. It will be determined by God. Okay, maybe it's not this time PSPM, but it can indirectly helping you for the semester 2 and also involve your university life. Okay, and I'm very thank you so much for 3 of them. We're just using 1 week time to discuss about the content, any topic or any misconception that from the perspective of student. Okay, kalau hari ini ialah saya, mungkin saya ajar, bagi pelajar mungkin itu bukan masalah dia. Okay, but I hope that today's lesson, all the questions, actually still have some questions we haven't discussed in detail. So that's why you can try to enter our Telegram channel. Okay, we can give you more guide from there. And for sure, I already mentioned, almost near to the examination, if you found any new approach, if you are comfortable with it, get it. If you are still not comfortable with it, it's better use back your the old one method, but you polish it until you perfect. Okay, kalau tak nanti you akan kelang kabut semasa final exam. Jangan compare dengan kawan. Kawan saya guna cara ni cepat je. Dia boleh. Tapi anda kalau tak boleh, sila tetapkan kaedah yang konsisten, kerana examination tu hanya berapa minit je. Tapi dah belajar 18 minggu. Kan? So jangan give up pada masa itu. The 2 hours is like perang kan, berperang. Kan? So jangan belum berperang sudah mati dulu. Kan? Don't give up first. You can do it.
Yeah.
Alright.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so dengan ini akhirlah kita punya slot siri 2, slot 5. Okay, jangan lupa kita ada satu slot yang paling terakhir, iaitu slot 6 bersama Madam Lee. Okay, so 3 Januari. So please set your date. So kita jumpa balik pada hari 3 Januari nanti, hari Ahad nanti. Okay? So dengan itu kita akhiri majlis program kita malam ni. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.